Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the BuzzStream Podcast. My name is Vince Nero. I'm your host today, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Leah Daly. She's a senior PR at Fat Joe. How you doing, Leah?
I'm doing great, Vince. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. You're coming to us from Barcelona.
Yeah, well, I'm from Ireland, based in Barcelona.
Yeah, nice. So interesting mix there.
Sure.
I'm always interested to see kind of where people come from in this industry. I mean, the biggest thing we're going to be talking about today is reactive PR, and Leah and I were talking a little bit before we started, and like the strategies that people take are very different, I think, across the globe. So I'm hoping people can get from this, pull some tips from how people do it from different parts of the world. Before I do, I just want to remind people to like, subscribe, share this podcast with your friends, your family, your colleagues. The more people we can get watching this stuff and interacting, the more I can have great guests on like Leah. So let's get into it. Leah, I think one of the big kind of misconceptions that people have with reactive PR is kind of just the overall strategy, right? So like what it looks like, there are people who offer reactive services, and it is pitching more so like expert commentary versus like some people pitch full post ideas, data, all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to hear just you give like a overall, like a definition, I guess, of reactive PR that you do specifically.
Okay, perfect. So reactive PR to me is basically anything that you can jump on quickly. So I think there's a couple of different terms floating around. Like some people might have heard of newsjacking, which is essentially hijacking the news. You also have like terms like expert commentary, but I think they all kind of come under this umbrella that is reactive PR, which essentially is just reacting to something topical in the news. It could be breaking news. It could be just something relevant in your client's industry at the time that you feel like they have an authority to speak on.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the newsjacking thing, I think, can also be proactive, right? Like you get into some of those like crossovers, but okay. So now that we kind of have that solidified, I think another problem that people seem to encounter, and I remember getting into this a little bit, in my agency days, is just this idea of like getting too far off brand. I'm trying to remember, there's something about like, I think it was a casino site was commenting on hay fever, and that got blown up online. But, people were, how can a casino site be an expert in this? And what are they, so talk to me a little bit about kind of the context, the relevancy, the thought process that goes into this, and connecting a brand to a piece of reactive news or to a piece of reactive PR, like, and how you would connect the dots.
Yeah, so I definitely, like, that was my example I was going to use as well, that I gave something as well, talking about hay fever, which is completely off brand. But I think within reactive PR, you do need to keep the scope broad because you want to, but obviously relevance is so important. Like, for example, like to increase your chances, you do need to go broad, but you need to be like in similar verticals. Like, for example, if we had like a roofing client, you could merely go into like home improvement, like that kind of area, rather than just solely roofing. Because like how many opportunities are you going to get jumping on roofing expert commentary needed for people? But you do need to keep it broad. You need to stay within your realm, because otherwise it's going to be so unrelevant for your client and for your journalist.
Do you have like I mean, it sounds like it's maybe one step removed. I mean, is there a way to, a little trick to ask yourself, like, is this too far away?
Well, I think I've just been in the industry so long now, and I've kind of seen bits of everything that I'm just like, but I think for anyone new coming into it, they could definitely be like, if you read this yourself and you saw that a finance expert is commenting on something health related or something relationship, like, it's too far approach.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for people when they're creating these expert comments to also keep in touch with who their expert is and have like their title correct, because otherwise you could give someone a million hats and like draw it out as far as you can, but like it's not relevant and it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll get into some of these kind of bigger mistakes that people make. It sounds like that is one of the bigger ones, but I want to get into kind of like daily workflow for you for this kind of thing? Because I know you do a lot of reactive. So like, I guess the first question is there a way to prepare for reactive PR, right? Like reactive PR, obviously you're reacting something, but like, is there a way to get some stuff in order?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think things such as like fact finding sessions and stuff like that with your client are super important. So you can kind of harness, like you need to keep in mind, you're the expert at what you're doing. You're the expert at digital PR, but they're the expert in their field and that's why you're using them. So I love like when you get a new client on, you sit down, have a fact finding session, see what they can bring to the table, and then combine that with teach them how you want to form the quote so they can kind of give you the best you can work with. I also think things like content calendars, editorial calendars, like there's so many available to you. Create your calendar, like do it by industry or if possible, do it by client, give the time, and just be prepared for what's coming up. And then that way you can reach out to your client and kind of preempt. And also like tools like using even Google News. If you don't even have these expensive tools, use Google News, go back what's been covered last year, what's covered the same time every year, all of that kind of stuff. So you can
Yeah, I like
definitely.
that. So it is like almost a proactive approach to reactive PR. So you say go use Google News, um, understand like what is trending at different times in the year in your industry. So it might be the social media holidays or
Exactly.
big trends reports.
You can, oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, I'm an over organized person, like too organized. So I think for me, like two key things are knowing who your speaker is, having as much information on them as you do, and then having a calendar and just being prepared for dates coming up. Because like the breaking news that you want to jump on, you are going to react on it, but you'll have like a broader scope of what could be covered. Like every year we get like the heat wave, we get like issues in workplaces like that being sent home. Like, so it's just, the news cycle is kind of repetitive. So you can kind of crack it that way. But obviously there are instances that it's just like a cyber attack, like M&S had one recently. If you have a cyber client, that's a gold mine. Like, but like you need to get onto them ASAP and hope to get back quickly.
Yeah. So are you also creating like Google News alerts for specific keywords like that? Like if you have a cybersecurity client,
Yeah.
cyber
So
attack or something.
I have my Google alerts set up. I need to clean them out because the way we work at Fat Joe is we do have kind of a high turnover of clients. We have a lot of repeat clients, but the way we work is kind of on an order by order basis. So it's kind of like 42 days and then we'll have a new order and we get a lot of repeat ones as well. But it's not like we're working with someone from one end of the year to the next because I've worked in like smaller agencies before and it's nice to have it that way as well. But yeah, it's kind of hard to keep on top of everybody. So for me, when I look at it, I kind of look at industry by industry rather than specific client by client sometimes.
Yeah, I know it is. Fatcho is somewhat unique in that it's kind of like order based. I mean,
Mhm.
is there a way to guarantee this? And I want to frame this in the perspective of like, if you're an agency thinking of doing reactive PR as a service, or if you are a small business and you want to do react, like I think, especially agencies, but like, people in the PR industry like are so tied to goals, right? And like being able to say, yes, we're going to get you coverage, like that's not always going to happen because who knows what's going on in the news, right? So how do you kind of walk that line between like being able to deliver? I mean, is there always something to potentially
Well,
be newsjack or yeah.
Well, I think I'm kind of the mindset that there is always something that you can jump on for your client. And like we work with quite niche clients as well. So it's like it gets tougher then because obviously your travel clients and your lifestyle clients fun and you can kind of have like a really broad scope, but then the niche you go like the kind of smaller pool. But there's always something coming up in some area of the news. Like I don't understand why, like, I've never heard the argument myself that like they've ran out of things to like jump on reactive. And if we do, like, we're very lucky these days to have tools and stuff to help us. Like I use ChatGPT Pro in the mornings. So I used to go in every morning. I still do manual searches, but I input all of my clients, all the industries that they're in, and I put in like three main news sites that I would like to get covered in. And I say, can you run these three sites, find some stories that are relevant for my client and in the space, and then from there we'll go and then we can build stories around it and jump on it like that. Like we're blessed. And I think if you're not learning how to integrate this into your daily workflow, like you're falling behind for sure. And then there's the other side that people are overusing it. Like you still need that human touch, but for things like searches that would take you so long, I think we need to be using these tools for sure.
Yeah, Leah, that's awesome advice. Just to break it down, it's like you have your client or you have your own industry, you are a roofer and you want to understand if you can get into the news.
Yeah.
It's like get into ChatGPT, tell them a couple publications that they don't all have to be Forbes, right? Or
they can just
Daily
be
Mail and
your goal ones even. And actually it's even better if they are going for Forbes or Daily Mail or something like that, whatever their top tier goal is. Because even if you don't get them exactly, you will kind of work your way up along. Like if it's something that would get featured in them, like then you're kind of a step ahead of the rest anyway, aren't you?
Right. That's a great point. So setting your sights higher will get you newsworthy things. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the types of pitches, because I think, like I said earlier, it's like there's the expert commentary. So like say you get something from ChatGPT or this idea, or like, you want to get in Daily Mail. It's a heat wave going on and you have a client, you're trying to ride that wave. Are you pitching just, hey, my client thinks this about that? Or are you pitching full articles? Because I really have seen like this different approach where it's like, here are the 5 best ways to stay cool. And my client thinks this, and here's the quote from them. And you're kind of really building it all for the person.
So we take 2 kind of different approaches. Like if you wanted to build, we've had instances where we'll build like a full article around like, here are the 5 top things to cool your pet down in this heat wave. But also if it's like the hottest day in the UK or the US and it's making news, you want to jump on it. In terms of reactive, I like to just keep it completely simple. Here's my client, they're so-and-so from so-and-so. Here's their comment. This is their background. Any more information, let me know. We like to keep it clean, like super clean, super simple. And 9 times out of 10, if the journalist wants to cover you, if they don't have something, if you didn't include something in that pitch that they need, they'll get back to you on
yeah.
It's more about getting like the perfect quote drafted and just making sure you're touching all the key elements, like just highlighting something new. Like, because I think a lot of people regurgitate information in their quotes, but when I'm speaking to clients, like I make sure to touch that point again and be like, you're the expert in your industry, like really hype them up, be like, you're the expert for a reason, you're the best. That's why we want to get you on Forbes. Like, give me what you can and give me something new.
Yeah. Do you find one of those 2 approaches works better than the other, the pure quote pitch versus like writing a full article?
Like I think I'm a little bit biased because I just do love reactive. I think you can tell by me, like I eat, sleep, breathe reactive PR. I'm constantly checking my news alerts on my phone. But I do think the reactive approach is better and it's clean and simple and it takes less time. Your media list will be smaller. It's more condensed. It's the exact people you want to be targeting rather than like keeping it more broad if it was like a more of a built out article. But we do both.
But do you, just to be clear, so do you do both as part of like a reactive? Like if it was 5 ways to keep your pet cool in the summer or something, like jumping off of that heat wave thing, it sounds like your preference is to just focus on the quote pitch rather than here's a quote plus here are my client's 5 tips for this, so that the journalist, because I've been told a lot of times where it's like, you want to give the journalist every single thing they need to do to just turn this around into an article. If you're just giving them the quote, it's not enough. They're to your point, they might come back to you, but like if they don't have the time, some of them don't have time to do that. So you want to give them everything.
Yeah.
It sounds like you kind of lean more towards let's just give them a killer quote.
I think from this, it's kind of, you're jumping on something that they're already kind of speaking about. So what happens a lot of the time is they'll integrate the quote into their article, or it could be an article that they're going to like expand on over the next day or 2. So for those kind of instances, we would send the quote. But if it's someone that spoke about it maybe last year and we're like preempting, oh, there's a heat wave coming on Monday, we want to jump on it, then we would send them the kind of bigger piece with the more information.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you touch on something here that I too want to really get your thoughts on. And it's this idea of like choosing the right journalists to reach out to. It sounds like you do kind of keep an eye on what it is they're writing about so that you know how to pitch them, right? And leverage this, like if they're writing about the heat wave, you're also providing some supportive stuff if they want to write about it. So
Like,
tell
I'm just here. I'm preempting. You want to cover this? I have this
right.
expert just waiting in
Well,
the wing.
tell me about how you kind of identify the journalists to reach out to and like the actual angle to take.
Yeah, so I'm very on socials and stuff. Like Twitter, obviously, is kind of not so great these days, especially for like the likes of journal requests and stuff like that. And journalists aren't very active on it anymore. But I do like to keep tabs on people. We currently use Muckrack in our company, so that I find that good. And in Rocks, they'll have like an option as well. They'll tell you if journalists are moving company. But
Oh,
I
nice.
think coming back to like breaking it down by industry, because realistically, there's so many journalists out there, you can't target everyone. Like I have my dream publications, which I've hit now, so I'm happy. But I also have like dream journalists that I want to cover me, and like the day I wake up and they've put up my thing, I'll be like milestones. So I kind of watch them, trying to collect them all like Pokemon, you know. Like not being creepy, but yeah.
So do you kind of monitor though, like the different journal, like, so especially in your case, right? Like you said like for the most part, 42 days with a specific client and a specific niche. So like you get a brand new niche. Are you going in, say it's roofing, then are you going in and trying to understand like, okay, I want to figure out like the people that are talking about roofing, or are you like, I want to go in and figure out who's talking about whatever these bigger topics are and like how can I fit
So, for
roofing in there?
example, if I had a roofing client, which we actually did have recently, I kind of tend to keep it as broad as I can, but still relative for them. So I would go into like home improvement. So I would look for journalists that write a lot about home improvement. And it's important to look for ones that aren't like just interiors or just home or like just gardens or anything like that. You want to keep it broad because you want it to still be relevant to them. But
So
like,
then, so you're understanding the people who are writing about that based on Twitter, right? Like you're checking profiles and stuff and like
yeah,
what they're tweeting about.
yeah. So checking profiles and stuff. And then like the likes of Muckrack, you can see the articles they have done in the past. I find that super helpful because you can even like go, but this sounds like a Muckrack ad. It's not. Um, but you can even go, and even like the likes of Meltwater, there's loads of tools out there that you can go back historically and see what they've been covering. It's very good.
Yeah. I mean, and for people who don't have it, it sounds like just like a Google search probably for their name and
Yeah. I think
put the date title. Yeah.
if you were like a smaller agency and you don't have as big of a budget, or if you're your own person trying to like do reactive PR for the first time for your own company, I think like Google is honestly a gift. Like there's so many free alternatives that we can use on there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it just takes a little
Um,
time.
right. Yeah. And I think that's probably the biggest hurdle for people is this kind of research part of it. And like, if you're doing it manually, at least, you know, you don't have a tool. I mean, that's like the whole reason we built our List IQ tool is like
I was
to
actually
speed
going to
up.
say, I actually have it on my list of tools to try.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like the two kind of sides of the coin, I think, are always like you're either using a media database and you kind of have to be good at using the targeting, you know, the filters and stuff to target down to exactly what you want.
Exactly.
And there's still a bit of like manual, you gotta, like you said, like understand the types of posts they're writing, right? The types of stories.
I also think with just going back to your new tool as well. So like for me, for example, when I first started in the industry, I had this finance client and it was kind of my baby. And then every time there would be like a financial announcement, I'd get onto like we'd preempt it. So the analyst would know Monday morning, send me a quote for BP's new quarterly announcement or whatever. I would go on and I would manually look up who's covering it, because it would be like an active cover. So the article would be running for like an hour at like the likes of The Guardian and Independent and all of those. But with the kind of tool that you have now, because I used to go into each one and pull the names. With your tool now, it actually, because I did look at it briefly and I was like, that could be very handy for reactive news tracking.
Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of the way I've always envisioned it, and is being able to pull it that quickly for that. Cause that brings me to a great question is like, what's the time frame look like? So like say a piece of news breaks, there is a whatever. Yeah. This is a terrible example, but like a bridge collapses or something, you know, nobody gets hurt, bridge collapses. And so you want to have a client that's in the construction industry kind of to speak to that, or there's some expert commentary there that you want to leverage. What does that window look like? Does it depend on the news outlets that you're working
Yeah,
on? But like you said, you have your news alerts all the time. Like it seems like it's an always on thing, right?
it's an always on thing. You definitely have to be dedicated to it. I think if you're into reactive PR, it's a good thing I am. But for something like that, like breaking news and like, I don't know if they're trying to say like, if you have someone that can comment on like roads being closed and like avoid this or something like that, you definitely want to get it out within like the first 2 hours, ideally first hour. But then something more that's like not breaking news. It could be like, trying to find an example now, obviously can't
Well,
think.
like the heat, like a heat wave, or like it's in
Yeah,
summer, and
like that's not breaking news. Like I think if you're on that within like the first day or two of it being the week of the heat wave or coming up to it or something like that, you're fine. But like things like flight cancellations, stuff like that, I think within the first 2 hours, maybe three. Because obviously, like the industry is getting so competitive now. All the digital PRs are doing such an amazing job. It's just getting tougher. So you just want to be on your A game and you want to be the first person in there. That's why I also like having like a straightforward, like we have a template. We'll slot in who our expert is. We'll slot in their comment, but also like it's turnaround time. How quick can your clients get back to you with comments? This is the other battle, you know?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that too, because I mean, are you pre-writing quotes for any type of scenario? Like I've heard people say
Yeah.
that.
So like in the kind of fact finding sessions and stuff I was speaking about earlier, we would like pre-write like if something like if the payments in a shop go down, like M&S or something like that, that's always going to happen. It's something that's always going to happen. So we would kind of have like a brief overview of what like my expert would say. But then obviously the morning of, like, I want something that's like directly for that. Like I wouldn't reuse the same comment, like, but we just have a brief overview to kind of help them the morning of get their stuff together. So it would be, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever missed a deadline because a client is slow to get back?
It's a little bit of a sore spot, but yeah, a couple of times.
Hey,
Yeah.
we've all been there. Yeah,
Like,
it happens.
like WhatsApping, like, please, this is the biggest thing we could ever jump on. And like, but yeah, no, but
Is
like,
that what you recommend? Having like WhatsApp, like text
no,
equivalents?
I think keep it super like professional, keep it on email. I don't do that like, this is quite early on in my career, but like, I don't really do it anymore. Keep it on email. Because WhatsApp, at the time when you need something, it's great. But then when they're just like at home, oh, I think this could be they're WhatsApping you on like a Friday night when you're out for dinner. You're like, oh, great. But like, it's like I love my job. I love what I do. So if an opportunity came up, but I was out for dinner on a Friday night and I needed to, I would try and get something together, because that's why preparation is key. Have your templates and you're just slotting in, because then you're like touching all your points. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. The blessing and a curse, right?
Exactly. It just
To
doesn't turn
have,
off.
yeah. Okay, so Leah, what are some common mistakes that you see people make? I mean, you spoke about a couple early in your career, but like if you were a small business owner or you're an agency thinking of getting some PR, reactive PR services, what are some mistakes that you recommend people look out for?
I think definitely a big one could be like, or I was about to say putting your nose in where it's not wanted, but that's probably like an Irish saying or saying, but like it's something that you should not be commenting on. Like even if it's in your industry, like if you don't have authority to like have your client comment on it, don't. Like anything super political or anything like that, I'd stay away from. Like I can give you an example. If you had a travel client and they could be maybe like an airline or something like that, or they could just be like a little Airbnb owner or something. And like with what's going on in the likes of Spain now, and you can't have like there's a lot of protests against tourism. Like read the room. Like don't have your Airbnb host being like, oh, like now is a great time to visit. These are the sites you should see in Barcelona. Because especially if you're outreaching in the Spanish media, you'll get absolutely slated. Your client will lose their credibility. Like it's just a bit tone deaf. So I think if you're going to comment on something, make sure it's the right space for you and your client to comment on it, and definitely just do your research. And then I know it's definitely like if you're someone in the US doing reactive PR in the US, like you're aware of what's going on in your state and you're aware of what's going on, like even politically, like in the whole country. But like if you're outreaching in Spain and you're not doing your research and you're like, oh, here's the top 10 restaurants to visit while you're here from Airbnb, it's just so tone deaf. So definitely I think a big mistake is not researching the topic enough before throwing a comment on it.
Yeah, that is great advice. Anything else?
Like, so like just general like mistakes that I've kind of come across.
Yeah.
Oh, sending to like putting way too many people on your like outreach list, like people that are not relevant.
Tell me about that, because that seems I'm working on a deck about that right now, and we're talking about it right in SEO. So I think that's a big pain point in the industry, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so I think definitely with media lists, it's more about quality than quantity. And I think that's something that we're lacking a little bit nowadays because I know people are just like, let's just put everyone out there. Like, let's keep it, I say, let's keep it broad, but like not that broad. Like, and you don't need to know everyone on the media list by first name and like what book club they're in and like what they're like, you don't need to know them to that extent. But you just need to be in the right realm and that their audience will want to hear what you've got to add to the conversation.
Yeah, I love that. So thinking about their audience
Yeah.
is such a key piece, it sounds like.
You just need it. Like, it is like transactional with a journalist, like whether we like it or not. Like, they want quality content for their audience and you want a backlink. Like, that's what we're doing, you know? But also, I think with reactive PR, more than like people do sign on for the backlinks, but like in my experience, like I've had clients like invited onto podcasts within their industry, like to like, and they love it because I remember like I'm like, you're the best, you know exactly what you're talking about, like you're number one top dog in the industry. And then when they're invited on stuff like that, like I've had clients been asked to like add like something to like they added like a quote to a book before, like in digital PR, like the opportunities are kind of endless. So I think yeah, I think just having them become proper, like authoritative, like speaker in their industry is like such and like a great win. And it's not what they sign on for, but it's like, it's kind of like the best thing about reactive PR as well, I think. And then like you'll have journalists reaching out to you to get a quote, like a comment from whoever your person is, like the more you do it and the more you're kind of in the right space rather than just sending out to everyone.
Yeah, that's the biggest, I think,
Hmm.
benefit of being pitching relevant journalists is kind of how
Sure.
I think I would frame it, is like you're building this trust and to the point where they will reach out to you.
Exactly. And like I haven't like I have always strived to be like that, but obviously in early days you're like, right, if I put X amount of people on this list, someone's gonna want to cover this because it's good. The emails I can't even say online what some of the emails were said in the past. But like you learn your lesson, I think, when you're new in the industry and you're like, right, everyone's gonna love this. They're not
Yeah. Well, I
right people.
leave me with one kind of tip too for people on how to identify the right journalists. Cause I again, like that is key. And that point that you made about like, is this the right fit for their audience? Like in a media database, for instance, like if we're talking about travel, right? Like you could search for travel journalists and it's going to come back with everyone under the sun. Cause it's like, if they have the word travel in their bio or they've written about it once, like, so what are some tips that you have for really identifying the right people?
So don't keep it like, so if you're looking for travel journalists, for example, don't just type in travel because you will get like culinary travel, like it breaks down so much, segments so much. So don't make that mistake. Not every person that mentions travel is a travel journalist. You definitely need to like be using the right keywords when you're searching for your contacts for your media list. And then obviously look at what they've been covering recently. Like, and I'm not saying that everyone has the time and the power to go through each individual person, but like on these tools, you can build out like spend your time creating like a structured list that you kind of reach to all the time. If you're getting unsubscribe, put them on a block list. Don't be reaching out to them again. Like you really don't want to be annoying the wrong people, the right people in the industry, but you don't want to be put on their bad side.
Yeah.
Definitely just use like be really selective with your keywords. Try and get as niche as you can with them. Within reason.
Yeah. Awesome advice, Leah. And this has been packed with tips. I want to push people to check out Leah on LinkedIn. She's active on there, and posts about reactive PR and her stuff, all, her tips and everything. So also check out Fat Joe.
Yeah, I do.
You just did a great study, the future of link building. Yeah. I was checking that out the other day, so people check that out, but sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're good. We're super active on like LinkedIn and even Instagram as well. So make sure and give Fat Joe a follow.
Yeah, I see you got is that Joe in the background there? Your little...
Yeah, I have a little, oh wait, he's over, I don't know, I can't see it on my screen, but he's over.
He's over there,
He's always what we all have. Joe. We did a little thing on LinkedIn recently. We sent Joe on his holidays. So we sent our this girl in our company back in the UK. She was at the post office for 2.5 hours sending out like baby Jojo. It turned into like this really great social experiment. And now if you go onto LinkedIn, like there's Joe on his holidays and he's been everywhere. So
yeah, I was checking it out. He's again going further than me. Well, Leah, thank you so much. Again, reminder, like, subscribe. If you have any questions about this kind of stuff that Leah talked about today, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to answer them. Leave a comment on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever we're going to post this. And yeah, again, Leah, thanks so much for joining us. And thanks so much for listening out there. Good luck, everyone.
It was lovely. Thank you.